Thank you, Madam Speaker, Honourable Prime Minister and members of this august House. I rise to provide an update on the free medicine program, a recognisable initiative of the Fiji First Government. Madam Speaker, the free medicine program emanates from the Fiji First Manifesto, and this program is driven by the Fijian government's commitment to reach out and assist those marginalised individuals who earn below 20,000 annually. This initiative perseveres to ensure that no one is deprived of their right to basic healthcare needs. Because the health and welfare of the Fijian people is of utmost priority of the Fiji First Government, initiatives such as the free medicine program aspires to provide accessibility to essential medicines to individuals and families who otherwise might not be able to afford these essential medicines. Madam Speaker, the supply of quality, safe, affordable and accessible medicine is one of the key pillars of the sustainable health system. In fact, assessing essential medicines is key to individuals' right to health as defined as long ago by, in 1948, Article 25 of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And this is very well articulated in our Constitution, which states, and I quote, "The state must take reasonable measures within its available resources to achieve the progressive realization of the right of every individual or person to health and conditions and facilities necessary to good health and to healthcare services," unquote. Madam Speaker, the free medicine program mirrors the concept of essential medicines, which is defined by WHO as the selection of medicines that are scientifically proven to be cost-effective, relevant and safe to treat the priority diseases of the population concerned. Madam Speaker, in terms of eligibility for the free medicine program, it is for adults with an annual income of less than 20,000 and individuals less than 18 years whose combined parental income is less than 20,000. The free medicine program has been strategically designed to focus on addressing the priority diseases of the eligible population. The 142 medicines that are currently in the free medicine program falls into the following broad categories. Firstly, antimicrobial medicines such as antibiotics, antifungals and antivirals. These are medicines that treat various types of common infections such as respiratory infections, skin infections, eye infections, urinary tract infections and gastrointestinal infections. The antimicrobial medicines may come in different forms for adults and young children. Some need to be swallowed, while others are applied directly to infected areas. Madam Speaker, Fiji is a tropical country and therefore we are more susceptible to communicable or infectious diseases. The second category of medicines is for non-communicable diseases. The common NCDs in Fiji include high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol levels, asthma. Thirdly, medicines to treat anemia, common allergies and muscular pains. And lastly, dressings. This last category of free medicine includes basic dressings to help people manage simple wounds at their homes. Madam Speaker, while the Fiji First Government has made provisions for the free medicine program, there is one issue that I'd like to bring to the attention of this august House, and that is antimicrobial resistance. Antimicrobial resistance is simply defined as the ability of bacteria, viruses and some parasites to evolve in ways that render standard treatments ineffective. When that happens, common infections can persist and spread more widely in our communities. More worrying, Madam Speaker, antimicrobial resistance can mean that some deadly conditions which we thought would be easily treated by simple medicines might re-emerge and become essentially incurable. Madam Speaker, last November, Fiji launched our first antimicrobial resistance awareness week, and with the theme, "Use Antibiotics Responsibly." Fiji is one of those relatively few countries in the world that has a well-developed national antimicrobial resistance plan. There are very simple messages that all Fijians, whether or not they access their medicines through our free medicine program, need to bear in mind when using antibiotics. The first one is only use antibiotics as prescribed by your healthcare provider. Always complete the full course of medication. Don't share antibiotics, as we need to complete the prescribed dose. Of course, using good hygiene practices to prevent the spread of germs and limit the need of antibiotics, and encouraging those around you to use antibiotics more responsibly. Madam Speaker, the Fiji First Government, when it first introduced the free medicine program in 2015, allocated a budget of $8 million to provide access to 72 medicines that were under price control. In 2016, the government added a further 70 medicines to the program, bringing the total to 142. And at the same time increased the budget allocation to 10 million. Those arrangements are being maintained in the 2016 and 2017 budget year. 90% of the program's budget is devoted to procurement and distribution of medicines to local pharmacies and health facilities throughout Fiji. In the current fiscal year beginning in August 2016, my ministry will use approximately 7.2 million for the implementation and rollout of the free medication program. The majority of this sum is used for procurement and distribution of the 142 medicines as mentioned. As of December 2016, the ministry had purchased around $4.8 million worth of medicines. These were received into our ministry's warehouse in Nambour before being distributed to dispensing points. The consumption of free medicines is monitored on a monthly basis to ensure that stockouts are minimized. Madam Speaker, as of Friday, the 3rd February 2017, a total of 24,317 people have registered for the free medicine program. The breakdown of the beneficiaries is as follows. In the Western Division, we have 13,675 people registered. In the Central Division, we have 7,185 people. And in the Northern, 3,457. Madam Speaker, the registration process for individuals who want to access the program simply involves filling in a registration form that is available at all government health facilities. The completed forms are then processed and details are validated before the free medicine program card is issued by the Ministry's central office. It also includes anyone who is covered by the Department of Social Welfare's Poverty Benefit Scheme program, the Care and Protection Allowance, and the Social Pension Scheme. These recipients do not need to register again, as they by default fall into the category of earning less than 20,000 per annum. The social welfare recipients can use the existing cards to access this program. Madam Speaker, added advantage of the free medicine program is that those who qualify for this program and get a prescription even from a private practitioner can still collect the medicines, those prescribed within the approved list, from the counters of either the pharmacies, the private pharmacies, or pharmacies within our hospitals, health centres as well. Madam Speaker, one of the Ministry's aim now is to raise more awareness on this program in order to encourage more registrations so those eligible can come and apply for assistance and benefit from these great initiatives. As a Minister responsible for this, I encourage all people eligible to fill in registrations form and take advantage. Madam Speaker, in terms of dispensing of the free medicines, the pharmacies have to meet some important administrative requirements before dispensing medicines under this program. The free medicine card, the poverty benefit scheme card, care and protection allowance, or social pension card must be verified. And the pharmacists need to confirm that the medicines are prescribed on the free medicine list, and third, pharmacists will only dispense the free medicine. Accessing free medicines is meant for those that genuinely require these medicines to recover and are able to live a productive life. In the efforts to streamline the implementation of this program, the Ministry, to ensure that integrity and transparency has been put in place, certain measures that people need to comply with their own wellness. That is why, Madam Speaker, eligible individuals must have a prescription that has been issued by a registered government or a registered doctor. That is why, Madam Speaker, eligible individuals must have a prescription that has been issued by a registered doctor, government and GP, before they can obtain medicines under the program. Madam Speaker, I must also emphasize for clarity here that not all medicines in the pharmacy are in the free medicine program. There are more than 10,000 medicines available in Fiji today to treat many different types of diseases. However, it is not possible to provide all of these under the free medication program. The program is limited to 142 of the most commonly prescribed medicines, both generic and in branded form. Madam Speaker, there are 4 medicines out of the 142 covered by the program, which can only be supplied by the major hospitals because they are prescribed by a consultant and given by injection, which can only be placed in a divisional hospital. 65 private retail pharmacies and 47 government health facilities are involved in the free medicine program. Madam Speaker, apart from this, anyone who enters our hospitals and gets treated by our doctors are also accessible to these medicines which are provided for in our government pharmacies. The free medicine program, Madam Speaker, represents a significant improvement in Fijians' access to essential medicine. In order to be able to respond to the increased demands, the Ministry will be seeking to further strengthen its pharmaceutical supply system to ensure that essential medicines are readily available whenever and wherever they are required. At times, availability in certain centres can be a challenge, but we work promptly to address the issue as and when it arises. The support and cooperation of the private pharmacies in the implementation of the free medicine program is greatly appreciated and is fundamental to its success. Madam Speaker, the program is an excellent example of public-private partnership that can play a major role in improving the effectiveness of government-funded health services. All in all, Madam Speaker, the Ministry is also, through its outreach programs, aspires to create more awareness on wellness and healthy lifestyles. And to achieve the overarching vision of creating a healthy population, may I remind, is a shared vision. Therefore, creating a healthy nation is the responsibility of not only governments or any particular organization, but it starts from an individual, it starts from families to make healthy lifestyle choices on a daily basis. Everyone needs to take ownership of the health, and like I said, it's a shared responsibility. Madam Speaker, we are very serious about the health of our people, and of course the health of men, women, children and senior citizens. Thus, we have pledged for a national collaboration among all sectors, with non-government organizations, faith-based organizations, civil society organizations, schools, parental support groups, teachers, youth, to work together to fight the increasing cases of NCDs in Fiji, and we believe together we can. As a way forward, the Ministry has adopted a multi-sectorial approach to increase awareness on health. Last year, the Ministry partnered with the Ministry of Education and launched the school health policy. Madam Speaker, it is never too late to start a healthy lifestyle, and as we persevere to reach out to communities in every home with a message that healthy lifestyle is a choice, may I suggest that this August House and all our respected members can also and should also be great champions of healthy lifestyle and wellness in Fiji. I conclude with a humble plea to all Fijians to take heed of the adverse weather conditions currently that we are experiencing, to ensure that all safety and precautionary measures issued by the relevant authorities are adhered to ensure that we put in place, we are all safe and our families are safe, especially take due consideration for the health. Normally adverse weather conditions brings with it a lot of health issues, and I think together we all can prosper if we move along the same line. With that, Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. And I call on the